Welcome everybody to a Thursday night with Hillary, Ian, and Sam. We're so happy to be here, and I think the three of us just enjoy talking to each other mostly, but we're really excited to talk to you guys too, because one of the things that gets us really pumped is the Savannah market. I'm not going to lie. We also, just something we have in common is that we've done deals in Savannah and Charleston. And I don't doubt we will be doing a Charleston one soon too, because we also really love that market. But tonight we wanted to talk about Savannah. I think a lot of real estate investors might say you can invest anywhere and make money. And I think in a lot of cases that is true. Um, but me personally, I like to kind of diversify, and I think a lot of people invest in real estate because they are diversifying their investments. They're not all in the stock market, they're going to real estate. But I think it's great to diversify your real estate too. And I invest where I live, Pennsylvania, and it's kind of a steady, stable, boring market. It's done really well for us. But I get really excited about the other side of that, which is these markets where there's just a huge boom in population and job growth. And that's the kind of stuff that just has a lot of upside and is very attractive to investors. It's attractive to buyers and those who are passively investing there too. So that's kind of why we wanted to talk about that one tonight. I am going to share my screen. So even the non-real estate investors out there have heard the phrase location, 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 which of course implies that there's not really anything more important than where you're buying. And even if you're not in a amazing area that has huge upside potential like Savannah, location is important because you don't want to be in a neighborhood that's high crime or a neighborhood that has awful school districts where no one wants to be. So location is so important. But when it comes to comparing locations around the country, it's really hard to find a place that is more desirable than Savannah, Georgia. Just look at this list of accolades that it's received just in the last couple years. I mean, best city, I mean, top cities, like this is a place where people want to be. And that's important to us because we're looking for a place where we know we're going to be able to find tenants. We're going to be able to fill our units. And especially when people are moving there, they're kind of moving there in droves. I mean, a lot of people know that people have been moving to the southeast just in general. Um, that means that as we turn over units, as we renovate, even as we bump up rents and we try to get the maybe the top rent in the market, we know we're going to have people that are there that are looking for something and that are able to afford it, because not only does Savannah have people, it's got this huge population of 410,000 people, but it also has low unemployment. So people are working and they can afford units. Um, and cost of living is really desirable too. So that 83.2% cost of living index just shows that people have jobs and they're able to make a decent amount of money, but the cost of living is not so high that they can't afford to rent, or in some cases to buy a home if that's their desire. What's funny is that when we're looking at a market to buy real estate, a lot of times we have this criteria that we won't buy something that's in an MSA. That stands for Metropolitan Statistical Area. We won't buy something that's in an MSA that's lower than, let's say, 85,000, sometimes 100,000, we might say. But as you can see, Savannah is actually 410,000. So there's no problem with having people that are looking for apartments in that area. Some of the key industries in Savannah are logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, and education. So there's a diversification of employers, which we really like to see. And a lot of these areas are also growing. You've got tourism, you've got film production, transportation. So a lot going on in this area. It's not just one employer. Savannah is the economic focal point of Southeast Georgia. It's certainly one of the economic focal points of Georgia on the whole. And it's one of the fastest growing and strongest economic centers in the entire state. If you Google Savannah economy, you'll see things like international trade, booming tourism, flourishing coastal economy. There's a US Army base. There are a lot of economic drivers that are helping to build this economy, and we can only imagine that it's going to be trending in an upward direction. They're certainly predicting for it to go not just steadily up, but just to really shoot up due to the huge stimulus they've had in jobs and population. Economic growth in 2023 actually added 5,000 jobs during the year to Savannah's economy, and it's expected to add a lot more jobs. And we're going to hear more about that from Ian and Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Hillary. I love talking about the river down in Savannah. I know in another lifetime in my hospitality days, there's at least one other person on this call tonight who spent time overlapping. Of course, he and I are based in Charleston now, but we spent a lot of time down by the river in Savannah. And while we were participating in hospitality, we did year over year watch that market grow. And so I think it's appropriate to talk about the ports, specifically the port down there. And Savannah is the East Coast's busiest container exporter and one of Georgia's largest job providers. I've got some stats here that the Port of Savannah is actually the South Atlantic's busiest intermodal gateway, processing 35 million tons of cargo. And that was in 2017 alone. So the Georgia Ports Authority makes continual strides every year to increase this capacity. And this includes $5 billion, 5 billion with a B, in major expansion projects that will elevate Georgia from a regional to a national leadership in logistics. So, like Charleston, a lot of big stuff going on down by the water. There's also a logistics hub there, and as I'm sure everyone on this call knows, aerospace is gargantuan there. So, you have Savannah that's home to several massive distribution centers, which would include Ashley Furniture, Dollar Tree, Home Depot, IKEA, Pier 1, Target, and Floor and Decor. And this is spearheading Georgia's aerospace industry. You've got jet aircraft manufacturer Gulfstream, who I was referring to earlier, which ranks as Savannah's largest private employer. And they actually had close to 10,000 jobs as of 2018. Total investment in the Savannah market is close to $1 billion. Another highlight would be the U.S. Army headquarters. And then outside Savannah in Hinesville, you've got the Hunter Army Airfield, Fort Stewart, the headquarters of the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division, the largest Army installation east of the Mississippi River. And these two installations employ 22,422 military and a little over 5,700 civilians. In addition to that, the builder I'm the listing agent for has 6 neighborhoods in and around the Savannah area. So we actually have a pretty big presence there as well. And then, where is all this headed, right? So the big thing that we love to talk about in Savannah, and I think the last 3 times I've been down there, number one topic of discussion is the new Hyundai supplier. Well, it's actually June Georgia Incorporated, which is a supplier of Hyundai. So they have announced they are building a new manufacturing facility in Bullock County, which is going to be north of 600 jobs and $317 million. There's also Comar Brands, which is a global apparel company. That's going to create 294 jobs and $87 million in capital investment in new manufacturing and distribution in Bryan County. And then finally, the firearm ammunition manufacturer Norma Precision is going to be another 600 job site and over $60 million in new manufacturing, assembly, and distribution. So, without any further ado, the one we all came to hear, and Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year, did you acquire, was it 501 units of
It's
multifamily apartments in Savannah or 500 even?
it's very close to that. I'm not sure if it's 490 something or 501 something, but
Doors of
uh
apartments in Savannah, and this is in 2023 alone, correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we are very grateful and very excited for that and the future of Savannah. So
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and you were born and raised there, so hot dog.
that's right. The whole time y'all were talking, I thought, man, that's my city. Even
Yep.
though now I live in Charleston, I consider that my city also. But yes, thank y'all for the great introduction. There's the Hyundai plant. I did want to point out while Ian was talking about that. If you drive by this thing, it is like they are building an entire city out there. I mean, it truly is just I mean, it's its own city that they are just pouring billions of dollars into, and the amount of jobs, that are coming in. The 8,500 is just the amount of jobs. That doesn't take into account the families and all that come with it. It's just a tremendous project. So, very excited about that. In case you kind of wanted to know, Bryan County is about 35 minutes door to door from kind of heart of Savannah to that Hyundai plant. So, very close. Before I go into any slides or anything, a little bit of background about me is I live in Charleston, South Carolina, which is about 2 hours from Savannah. Both great port cities, coastal towns, tourist industry. We're just blessed to be a part of it. If you'd have told me that I'd have the fortunate venture of investing in multifamily there, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But it's got great, strong market fundamentals, and it's an area that we're really excited about. If you're newer to investing, and I know a lot of people on this call are not, but just for the sake of those who may be joining us on the recording and all, we look for a general market overview, kind of at the beginning, and make sure the overall market checks the boxes with population size, like Hillary touched on, and then population growth and median household income. And you really want all those numbers to be trending in that positive direction. So Savannah, of course, checks all the boxes on that. If Savannah had, let's say, just Hunter Army Airfield, and it still checked all those boxes, but that was one of the only major, employers, it wouldn't be a city that I'd want to invest in. It's got such career diversity and so many different industries that it's not a one horse town. It just continues to gain that sort of momentum and that sort of attraction as people really continue to pour, money into it. I know we talked briefly on film and tourism, but Forrest Gump was filmed there. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, a tremendous amount of TV shows. Savannah College of Art and Design is there. Georgia Southern University, which is in Bullitt County, just purchased Armstrong Atlantic University, which is about a mile from or less than the assets that we own. So great colleges and universities. And, it's a destination city for weddings, and people come from all over the country. And if you walk downtown, you've got moss oak lined streets, and you've got all walks and talks of the world just looking at. It's a very charming city, just learning the history of it. There's ghost tours. I mean, it's just a vibrant town in the southeast. And Hillary touched on this too, but the southeast is kind of a buzzword in the industry that oh, everybody wants to be in the southeast. And I think you'd be poised well probably to buy real estate in any of these markets. But it's no surprise that the two that we're kind of the most bullish on are rounding out the top five there, and that's Charleston and Savannah. I can't tell you guys why some of these are in red, to be honest with you. I was just at a large conference in San Diego, NMHC, and a broker was talking to me about Savannah specifically and sent me some market information on it, right after. And this is the one that really caught my eye. Just if you look at the market rent, it's one of the top in rent, but then I think it's third or tied for third in occupancy rate, and just poised for a tremendous amount of rent growth over the next 5 years. So super excited about that. And then they also sent me this on Savannah, the leader in rent growth since 2020.
And again, just that MSA that continues to grow. Savannah is projected to grow 30% in population size over the next 10 years. And just to give you a metric of what I look for, I like to see 20% population growth over a 20-year period. And this is poised to grow 30%, in those next 10 years. So just tremendous expansion, and a big reason of that, is the Hyundai plant. Amazon Savannah Port is now the largest on the East Coast and is just continuing to grow, worldwide. So it's explosive growth coming through that port there. And for rent growth, we underwrite at 3% annual rent growth. Getting that 14% and all those others that have been happening over the last couple of years, maybe prior to 2023, has been gravy on the top. But we really underwrite for that 3% for conservatism, and know that we're poised to really go to the moon here. So the biggest thing that I offer, is just knowing the market intimately, and there's really three ways to do that. One is just consistent deal flow and analysis of that deal flow that helps you to get a real understanding for the different submarkets. The other way is either by living in an area so you already know it, or by frequenting that area so much that you know intimately. And I don't mean once a month frequenting. I mean like really getting into the streets and knowing which area is going to continue to have growth, and then which area you really might not want to be in. As wonderful as Savannah is, it's a city just like any others, and so there's certain neighborhoods that are just going to be better than others are. I'm fortunate that I have my whole family lives in Savannah still. And I joke that I was the only one that got out, but I still miss it, and we're there very often, as you can imagine. But my mom is a school teacher at one of the public schools in Savannah. My sister-in-law is a teacher out on Tybee Island, which is the beach out in Savannah at one of the charter schools. And then my stepmom is a teacher at the one of the private schools in Savannah. So we've really got kind of all those avenues covered to really have intimate knowledge. And we just went to NMHC, like I said, and I will tell you that there were 20,000 people there, operators, brokers, private equity, lenders. I mean, just all walks and talks in multifamily. It was in San Diego. If you ever get the chance to go, I wasn't going to go, and I'm really grateful that I did. But in talking with people, and they asked, where do you own apartments, or where are you looking for? I tell them Charleston, Savannah, and everybody's eyes, and this is good and bad, but everybody's eyes would just light up and say, Savannah, we're trying to get in there. And that was brokers and operators. So brokers are like, what are you seeing from sellers? And everybody loves Charleston, don't get me wrong, but it was really just, I mean, it felt like one of the buzzwords of NMHC. There's a lot of new investors coming in, and also old investors who are coming in who just haven't gotten quite into the market yet. And one of the biggest things is that deal flow, having a good understanding of what owners are willing to trade at, what cap rates are in this neighborhood versus this neighborhood. It's surrounded by marsh. It's a coastal town, so you've got rivers and all. There's only so much you can build in Savannah proper. So what we're seeing now is really a lot of the growth is having to expand, and go out to other areas. So Georgetown, Richmond Hill, all those places that are Savannah MSA, but just are going right outside of Savannah proper. And I've seen prices there anywhere from 160,000 a door to, I was sent one that's 220,000 a door, and that's 15 minutes outside of the heart of the city, where you're really getting prices like that. So the growth just continues to expand. And again, one of those things with market knowledge, this was brought up while we were at the conference too. I have the same deal that's continued to come across my desk. This is the third time now. The first time it was 112 a unit. The second time it was 108 a unit. Third time it was 95 a unit. And every single time it goes back to, it's very hard for me to pass up at that price point. I mean, that's $40,000 a door, less than I mean, what we've purchased for, and 60 to upwards of, what a lot of people have purchased for in that area. But it's just in one of those neighborhoods that doesn't have the best school district, and is not a place where you're really able to capture on that rent growth that other slide was talking about. And so having that sort of knowledge and being able to say, I really appreciate the time, but that's not one that we, really want to add to our portfolio, comes with, knowing the area intimately. And otherwise, based on where it is, it's one where, you may get, I don't want to say tricked, but kind of tricked into thinking that maybe you can take that to the next level. And you can't. So, I think I covered everything I really wanted to, unless Hillary or Ian, you can think of anything. The only other thing I'll say is St. Patrick's Day parade is coming up in March, and I come from an Irish Catholic family, so we will all be out there at 5 a.m. But it brings 300,000 to 500,000 people, down to River Street in the downtown area, and is also another huge piece of Savannah and the history, that comes along with it. So again, just a tremendous amount of opportunity and growth and experiences, and just a vibrant city that I'm very fortunate to be able to call home, and now get the privilege and the pleasure really to partner and work with other people who have been able to place their hard-earned money and their capital, and reap the benefits of just such a flourishing city. So I'm really grateful, and thank y'all for taking the time out to come hear about it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, actually, if you registered for this call, you are required by the courts of Georgia to attend the St. Patty's Day parade. So we
That's
didn't tell
right.
anybody that, but that's what you clicked off on. So everyone will see you down there, all 26 people.
That's right. We'll be out there with a spread, so y'all just come find me, and we've got napkins and drinks and everything you need.
Woo!
Sounds like fun.
It is. It is.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for sharing your part there too. But thanks everyone for coming. We wanted to keep it pretty short and sweet, honestly. And like I said, we will probably do another one of these on Charleston, the other market that we have in common. But yeah, Savannah, we're looking, we're excited, and hopefully have some opportunities to invest this year. So have a good night, everyone, and I'll send out the recording.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, Sam. Amazing job. Thanks, Hillary.